There, there we are. There we go. Okay, cool, brilliant. Right, we're up, we're running. I don't think we've got any internet issues at the moment. He says, cross fingers. We've got a drink of rum. It's really bloody nice rum as well that Chrissy bought me, so we're good to go. He says, just necking the rum in one go. Good evening, everybody. Right, we're going to fly straight into it today. Laura, Laurie, Sam, Sue, Keely, Alison. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all well this week. What a week. What a fucking week. Wow. I'm going to get straight into it. So it has been absolutely mentally crazy, mad. I'm not even sure that I should use the word mental anymore. I know some people get offended by it, so apologies if you do. I don't mean it in a bad way, but it has been crazy. Evening, Dennis. Hi, Louise. Hi, Teresa. Production. Oh my God. Now, again, I have to be careful what I say. Hi, Morris. And he said Maurice there. That's why the accent going. So every time I go see Maurice, it comes out like Maurice, like in kind of French. Hi, Morris. Looks like you had a good day, so it's all good. I'm saying hello to everyone. Hello, Kirsty, Diane, Stephen, Sam. Right, I'm going to get on. Right. What a crazy week, production wise. So the guys are brilliant. The location team are absolutely fantastic. They've been a lot of fun to work with in the last week. They've been really busy. They've had loads to do, but I cannot express how different the prison looks right now. It's amazing. It really is. They've done a great job. They've made it look fantastic, and they're on for what is going to be a great filming or great production time. So yeah, I kind of a little bit difficult as to what I can and can't say. A lot of the prison has now been redecorated, so painted effectively and dressed in a different way. So reception looks completely different. The corridors, all the corridors, A wing, the corridors going down to the restaurant, visits, chapel. It looks insane. If you have been to see the prison before, you will not recognize it when you come to see it again. That is how different it is. I walked through earlier today with Lauren, and it is insane just how different it looks and how quickly they've turned it round. So a couple of quick questions we're going to answer as we go along. Laurie asked, is it a film or a series or documentary? I can't say. I can say it's got some big stars in it. It's got some decent size Hollywood stars. That's kind of as much as I can say really, because unfortunately we are embargoed. There's not a lot I can do about that, so apologies. It will come out at some point, and when it does, obviously I'll talk about it. But till then, I can tell you this: the site looks amazing. So really pleased with that. And we've obviously been working behind the scenes on different things of how we're going to redo stuff as we bring it back to a tourist attraction, but obviously it's still a prison fundamentally. So, but yeah, we took down the museum the other day. Lauren and I sort of stripped that, so that's all ready to be redecorated. Loads of stuff going on. So it's been constant, and obviously because there's so much. Oh, don't be so sure, Laurie. But because there's so much to do with COVID, it really is a completely different production. We've had a number of productions over the last few years, but because of COVID, it's a huge change. And somebody asked me last week when I was talking about running for Prime Minister about how I would handle COVID, and I wasn't cagey about the response, but I gave a very actual response on the fact that I don't have enough information to give you a solid response. So I'm going to give a better one today, I think, because we can talk a little bit about COVID in a little while, because what a week that's been, of a change of the tier systems and how it will affect, and anybody that's obviously in Liverpool, if you're watching tonight, oh my God, what a challenge for you guys. Londoner is going to go obviously into tier 2 from the weekend, Greater Manchester, other areas and stuff like that, so it's a bit crazy. And yeah, and it's been really interesting this week because I've spent obviously a lot of time with lots of different people on site, lots of calls, and obviously I see huge amounts of social media where I got a lot of interaction from. and watching people's response to lockdown or not lockdown. I'll ask the question in a little while, not right now, as to whether we should or shouldn't do it, because I've got my opinions. I'll be interested to hear other people's opinions and see what that does. So crazy week from that, some early starts, and yeah, but it's going well. The security team on site, which are there 24/7, so don't even think about it, Teresa. You're not going to be breaking in, Teresa, not scaling the fence anymore, or going over. Security team there obviously are fantastic as well. So that's been really good, and it's just generally been quite smooth running, which is what we like. I don't know if I said to you guys, I think I probably mentioned it, but a couple of years ago we had a Hollywood film shooting in Gloucester, and that was just chaos. It was just a huge production, massive production. But the left hand didn't talk to the right hand. It was just complete chaos. It was a really difficult production to be with, just because there was just so much going on. It was really hard. But this is a really smooth one, so it's been great. Evening to Lula. She's just jumped on to say, stay out of Wales, don't get started. Yeah, I hear that. It's a big impact for us at Shrewsbury as well with the Wales lockdowns, because obviously people can't then travel across the borders, and we're in a bit of a gateway, so it's been a challenge. It's a challenge for everybody. You know, nobody is exempt from this challenge. But yeah. So I'm just reading some of the comments and thoughts on the circuit breaker that's been talked about. Dennis, do you know what? I'm going to talk about the circuit breaker. I've got a really strong opinion. And if you caught me last week talking about being Prime Minister or running for Prime Minister, and one of the things I said is, as Prime Minister, and I talk about from my perspective as Prime Minister, this is the way I perceive it, is as Prime Minister, my opinion doesn't really matter that much. Like, I wouldn't be Prime Minister to give you my opinion. That's not why I would be Prime Minister. And I don't think it's the Prime Minister's place to give you their opinion any more than for the fact of they're allowed to vote. Outside of that, you're not Prime Minister to give your personal opinions. You're Prime Minister to run the country for the benefit of the people, not to give your opinions. However, I'm not Prime Minister, so I can give my opinion. But yeah, so well, circuit breaker. Do you know what? I'm going to try and put this into a nutshell, and it's really interesting for me talking about this, because I'm used to having lots of two-way or three-way or four-way conversations with people, especially with my team, especially with people over social media, and sometimes with and sometimes with people over Twitter and social media. But in this instance, there's obviously no response. You guys are commenting, which is great, and I'll pick them up as we go. And that's why I stopped, because I read them and I laugh because there's some brilliant comments coming up. But yeah, so it's a bit different for me doing this. So I'm going to kind of put it into a nutshell. Is I don't believe that we actually understand as a country or as a nation or as the world exactly what the pandemic is the impact and what's going to happen. And by that I mean that if you take the top scientists in the country and in the world, you take the top scientific bodies, you take the top doctors, surgeons, top people in pharmaceutical, top people in pandemic, top people in viruses, you take the top of that entire industry across the board, all the different sectors, and they don't even agree with what's the best way. Some people say we should do lockdown, some people say we shouldn't, some people say circuit breakers, some say we shouldn't, and these are all the top people in their fields. And if they don't all agree, then ultimately it says to me that no one really knows exactly what should happen and what the best way of playing it is. And there's lots of different aspects and different things you can look at. New Zealand have obviously done their thing, and a COVID-free, and they're back to kind of full stadiums, and they locked down their entire country, which is something the UK could have done. We're an island, so we could lock it all down. But yeah, there's so much confusion, so many mixed messages. It is a real case of, Alison's just said, it's a case of trial and error, and I think that's probably about right. So because of that, it's really hard to say we should or we shouldn't lock down, we should or we shouldn't do a circuit breaker. From my position, I currently think a circuit breaker is dangerous, and I'm not saying I'm right for any sense, but I think that But there's a number of people out, and I've experienced it this week on Twitter, and I've experienced it this week just listening to people and watching people and chatting to people, that a lot of people think that going back into a lockdown means you'll get 2 or 3 weeks off work and you'll get paid, and kind of that was a little bit of a rosy lifestyle for some people. Not for everybody. I'm not sweeping statement out. I'm just saying that some people kind of got used to not being at work and getting paid 80% and so on and so forth, and they quite like to return to that world. But for businesses, it will be catastrophic. And I don't know what it's going to do for the death rate and the infection rate, because I just don't think anyone knows enough to know about it. There's a really strong piece of, or a really strong theory around how all the historic pandemics throughout history have lasted about 18 months. And this one's kind of to get through the population and then bugger off. And the theory is this one will do the same thing. So, we're probably here for another year to the back end of summer next year, and then I think we'll start to see it disappear. But yeah, it's difficult. And to be honest, I read another piece of information earlier. I listened to it in an interview, and they're saying that out of 5 people that should self-isolate, only 1 person is. So at the moment, when we're not in lockdown, if you get only 1 person out of 5 self-isolating, then a lockdown, I'm not sure how effective that's going to be. And you're seeing in Liverpool with the gyms that are refusing to close and staying open. I personally think that's wrong. I think that, I'm not saying I'm in agreement with the lockdown, but I am in agreement with if that's the decision that's been made, then, you kind of have a responsibility to go with it. As a business, you kind of have a responsibility to go with it. And if you don't, all that's going to happen is you're going to get fined and fined bigger and fined bigger and fined bigger, and eventually the council will close you, and you'll lose your business, and your staff will lose their jobs, and no one's better off. So, and again, the gym owners don't know better than the scientists. I'm not saying they know less, but they certainly don't know better. So it's a really difficult one. We could probably talk about this for ages, and I love these kind of debates. I should fire it back up on Zoom so people could jump on, and we should have a massive debate on it. But anyway, let me just read back through some of these things. Some of the comments. If I break the rules and travel over the borders to England, can I stay in your prison? Well, we're closed at the moment. You have to go to Shepton. So you can't, I'm afraid. Look, people saying about seeing the prison after the film is finished. Absolutely, definitely. The prison looks amazing. And just I think everyone's on the same page that it's really hard to know what's going to happen. Oh my God, Trump! Someone's just flagged Trump. Sam has just flagged Trump. I think he's going to bloody win it. I'll be honest with you. Now, I'm not a political expert. That's why I make a great prime minister. Just one of many reasons why, because I'm not going to get bogged down by the bullshit of it all. But yeah, I think Trump's going to win it. I do. He's good. He's a good showman. I like when I say he's good, I don't mean he's good because I don't think he's good. I think he's a good showman, and I think unfortunately that's kind of what wins elections at the moment. Is the most popular person, obviously, because it's the most popular vote. So I don't know. I think it'll be close, but I think he'll probably win it. But I could well be wrong. Personally, I hope Biden wins it. That's my preference, but I it's not my decision to make. Sam, you're saying if one family member has to isolate, they all should. Yeah, I agree. I think look, once the rules are made, like it or not, I think we have to go with it. But I'm just not convinced that we know exactly enough to. It's a trial and error. Let's have a quick look. Kissing coronavirus, not sure symptoms. Wow. Never trust a bloke with an orange face. It's amazing. Drink bleach, get better. I know, Trump. I know. Do you know what? We could probably talk about Trump forever. I think I'm going to buy and read his book, The Art of the Deal. And I've got no love for Trump. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Trump supporter or a Trump fan in any sense or word of the imagination. I don't actually know enough about him, but somebody recommended it to me based on a few different bits. So I think I probably will read his book, and I actually think that one of the ways to grow is to read and get information about people you don't necessarily like or kind of don't really attune to, because I think that gives you perspective, and that's what's important. Shane is in the house. So Shane, Country Boy Hinton. who's somebody I know who comes to the prison. He used to work for us at the prison. Is still one of our actors at the prison. He's a good guy. So he's just joined us. I don't actually. Somebody's talking about there is I don't actually. I don't know anyone who has caught COVID. I don't know anyone directly. Not one person who I know, just one to one, who can categorically say they got COVID. I know a few people that say they have had it, but nobody's been tested and has actually had it. And I don't really know if I know anybody who knows somebody directly. It's a bit challenging. So I think it's there. I don't think it's a big conspiracy to get me right, but I haven't actually. It hasn't touched me that closely yet. What are you doing the Bullman's Club? It's the best. Shane, why am I joking? I've shaved my hair back down. I'm growing my beard to make up for the fact I'm losing my hair. Okay, right. I'm getting through my rum quite nicely tonight. We're fired straight into it tonight. There you go. Shane's just jumped in to say Mrs. Sister has it. I think that means his girlfriend's sister has it. But again, that's a fourth party. I know Shane's girlfriend and their sister and so on and so forth. But Sam, I'm sorry to hear that. Sam's just said that she knows of a mum and son who had it, who died a couple of weeks ago from it. So, and I do think it's there. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm just saying that it's not touched me directly, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm a bit more. I wouldn't say blasé about it, but I look at it from lots of different angles. I look at it for myself personally. I look at it for my family and for my kids and for my wider family that don't live in Shrewsbury. I'm going to continue to say Shrewsbury. I can't remember who made the comment, but it's still coming at you. I look at it from the perspective of my employees and how they are and their families. I obviously look at it from a business aspect. And now I've got about 100 people in or out of the prison on a day-to-day basis, the same people that we're responsible for. And they're all in bubbles, and they obviously have their own responsibility for it, but they're all in little bubbles. So it's really important now that it always has been important, but it's really key that we keep the right bubbles in the right places, because to make the production go, because it's a long time people are together. So anyway, let's move on from COVID and stuff like that. Should we talk about the funding, the DCMS funding? Who saw the announcements this week on Shepton and Shrewsbury? Can anybody win the prize by telling me how much we got awarded in funding from the DCMS funds for Shrewsbury and for Shepton? We'll have a little competition on that one. So let's talk about that. Got everyone still on COVID. Quick, move off, quick. Let's talk about other stuff. Laurie's just said, TV programme for me tonight, 9 o'clock, BBC Two. Anything further than that, Laurie? Wouldn't give you any more clues. A lot. Do you know what, Glenn? It is a lot. I think it's a lot of money. But actually, when I looked at some of the rest of the funding that was given, it's not a huge amount of money. Laurie, 74,000. Oh, nearly spot on, Laurie. Dennis is about 10k out. Sam's about 10k out. Teresa is £1,000 out. Matthew Manning is miles out. Rachel's pretty close to 73. Oh, Teresa nearly bang on the money at Shepton Mallet, about £11,000 out. Okay, so I'll see if anyone else comes in with it. Sam West 50p. You know what, Sam? Sometimes I think that's what we're gonna get when it comes in. Glenn's come in. Matthew 150k. Some good numbers here. Oh, Diane's such a good push forward, that one. So okay, right. I could just keep saying it for ages. So Shrewsbury was awarded £74,300 from the DCMS fund, which is the Heritage for Culture. I'll talk more about that in a second. And Shepton was awarded £132,300. So it's just around £200,000 between both the prisons, but they're obviously separate entities Shrewsbury will be using 74,000, and Shepton is going to be using 132,000 plus the £300. So that was all part of the. I don't know if you guys saw, but the government put forward. So look, let's just rewind a sec. Like or hate our government, like or hate our Chancellor and our Prime Minister, agree or disagree with the way they do things, which we all do. We all have our opinions on everything they do, and that's the way it should be. But they put in the £1.57 billion into a culture fund. And that culture fund was separated into various categories, and basically then distributed via a application process, so a grant process managed by Heritage Lottery, which is the best way of doing it, because Heritage Lottery, that's what they do all the time, is grant funding. So they're absolutely best placed to deal with that. So it's absolutely right, the government, to issue them the 1.57 billion and allow them to then do the grants and distribute and stuff like that. So various different pots of funding. So we took part in the DCMS fund, which is the Digital, Culture, Media and Sport section. So we fall under there because we were pushing for digital and culture, because those are the two aspects that we need to tap into to improve our business and make it really COVID secure. And you guys will recognise that very much from the digital world, from when we were doing the lives of the paranormals, the lives of Graham, those of you who've been to the prisons, the connectivity with inside. What we want to do is improve the connectivity in-house from a digital aspect, which will allow us to expand the offering virtual-wise and therefore get a wider reach without people necessarily having to visit the building. So that was kind of part of the fund there. We've got some money in the back end of it for supporting us with COVID, with all the additional cleaning materials we have to have, all the additional staffing for having to clean everything so much more often. We've got some funding in there to have better customer relationship management tools and engage better with our customers, to do some reviewing of our planning and our businesses and our strategies and stuff like that, and make sure all that's running. So a number of different things, but none of it is for capital gain. So none of it is to capitalise on improvements to the physical building. It's all for infrastructure kind of work and stuff like that. So that's what we did. So we used that fund. There was places like Bodmin Prison I'm going to go see in a few weeks. That's another reason why I don't want lockdown, so I go see Bodmin. They got about £202,000, which is great. Same fund, and a few others were sort of picking out the same sort of money. I think which one was it? One of the railways up here. Oh, that's really bad, I've forgotten. They got the most, and I think they got 900 grand, I think it was. But it's a lot to run. And then there was another fund. There was a CRF fund, which is a Cultural Recovery Fund, which is all about providing like live music venues and grassroots kind of money and stuff like that. So places like the Albert Shed in Telford also have a location in Shrewsbury. I think they got like $500,000 off 600,000. So lots of different things. So allocated really well from our perspective, because for us, grant money's really importantly goes to places that need it, but also recognising places that are going to survive this, that are actually going to be strong enough to grow and continue on and won't just fold anyway. Really, really pleased that we got that. We started moving forwards on that. We've got a new digital platform being built for us, which includes a new website and includes a new membership scheme or a new membership area in the background. So that's looking brilliant. I had a meeting today about that with the company that are going to do that. So that's a company called Reach Media. And what I really liked about that is they're local. So they're based in Shrewsbury. I drive past their offices every day on my way to prison. They're a really lovely company, really nice group of guys to work with. They're really passionate about what they do. They're very skilled at what they do. They built the websites and everything for Visit Shropshire and a number of other companies. I think they do the football websites for Shrewsbury Town. So I really like the fact that we're able to support local businesses as well, to feed that cash back in. I think that's what's really important about growing. So anyway, so really pleased about that. That's going to make a huge difference to us and help us go forwards. Online shops, Laura, what are you doing to me? No, Laurie, this is grant funding. So grant funding is not something we have to pay back. It's not a loan. It is a grant fund. So they're pushing it to us, and obviously we can use that. But we have to apply for every single penny. We have to account for every single penny. and provide all the paperwork and stuff. So there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes. Right, let me pick up the online shop because I spoke about this. We don't really have enough infrastructure behind us at this stage to be doing an online shop, and there isn't, to be honest, there isn't a huge enough demand for it. We are looking at it, we do want to do something with it, but it's about how we make it work. But Laurie, I'm more than happy if you ping me a message. I will happily sort out the merchandise for you, and I will post it out to you myself, because I want to make sure that you guys get it. Please keep getting me out. Darts final. Sorry, Simon. I apologise. Clashing with the darts final. Okay, let's have a quick look. Yeah, guys, if you need any merch, just ping me a message. I will absolutely look after you for it. I will make sure it works. But the reason we haven't done it yet is because this will sound a little bit woolly, and it will sound a little bit weak, I think, from my perspective in terms of a reason. But I'm gonna do my best to paint the picture. We don't have enough of a demand from an online shop perspective to warrant us building our own shop. We can use some of the process we already have in our TrekSoft system, so in our booking system, to do it. But to be honest, by the time all that's happened and putting all the processes in place to us to take the money, to grab the bookings, to grab the merch off the shelves, to package it up, to send it, we don't really have enough demand to make that process work. We sell an awful lot of merchandise on site, and traditionally that's kind of what tourist attractions do. But I'm happy to sort stuff out for you guys if there's something you want, because like I say, outside of you guys, we don't get a huge amount of people asking for stuff like that. And when we do, they ring us up and we do it over the phone and we just send it out type of stuff. But yeah, we don't have a huge demand. We haven't built the process in the background. There's so many other things we want to concentrate on first, and that's kind of why. Keely, I think, is upset with me because I didn't lock people up last weekend for her. So people asking for shops and stuff, right? Oh, Laurie, no, that's so bad. Laurie, I'm so sorry. Ping me a message and I'll get it sorted. They should be bloody answering. I hate it when that happens, when I say, like, we should be doing it like this. And then people are like, yeah, we did that. And then no one got back to me. That's shocking. My fucking team. They're all fired, Laurie. I'll go in tomorrow and I'll sack every single one of them. I mean, I won't, but sorry. That shouldn't happen in all seriousness. Okay, right. That's kind of... Oh, no, I've got one more thing. I know I say unplanned, unprepared and unscripted, but Lauren got told to fuck off today. And not by me either. Yeah, Lauren got told basically to fuck off today by somebody on the phone. The people that actually run the car park, that own the car park over the road from the prison. So she got a bit of abuse from them today on the phone, which wasn't ideal. So we're going to have to deal with that one next week. But yeah, that happened. She was fine. She was all right. You know, Lauren, she's tough as they come, but she was just like, I can't believe they said that to me. How rude. So yeah, I think she wasn't best pleased. Right, someone's asked how last weekend's sleepover was. No drunks. Last weekend's sleepover wasn't ours. It was Most Haunted did it, and they don't have the bar open. Well, they don't have a bar, so it was absolutely fine. So it was absolutely fine. But yeah, I went in and caught up with the Most Haunted team. But yeah, it was a good night. If anyone's interested, I set up a fan page for Shrewsbury Prison on Instagram called Souls of Shrewsbury. Cool. I'm gonna have a quick look at that, Laura. Let's have a quick look. I'm not sure. Let me have a quick look. Jumped on the Instagram. First thing that comes up is a picture of Stacey from 10 hours ago. Souls. It doesn't really work too well Instagram on the computer, but I will do it. Oh, cool. Do you know what, Laura? I haven't seen this. That's cool. I can see Lauren follows it. Oh, that's sweet, man. I love that. Cool. Yeah, I'll give you a follow, absolutely. Yeah, loving that one. Make sure you tag me in some of these, Laura. If you tag me in some of these posts, and I'll I'll start sharing them and stuff like that. Not that I've got a huge following, but I will absolutely do that. Love it. Souls of Shrewsbury, love that. What have you used as the picture? Nice. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Okay, let me pick up the car park. So basically, right, this is business. Okay, this is the way it works. It's pretty straightforward. You guys will all get this, I'm sure. Or I hope you will, otherwise I'm about to get flogged. So basically, right, the car park over the road from us is sold to a company called Napier Parking. It's out in the public domain, so I can talk about it. All of this is in the public domain, so I can say it. It's absolutely fine. So they bought the car park over the road. I think they bought it for about 300 grand. They're a private parking company. Absolutely fine. So it's a private car park you have to pay for. I think if you don't pay, you get like £100 fine or something like that. So anyway, so that's fine. I had a chat with the guys when I first took over. Easy enough guys, nothing too dramatic type of stuff. It kind of works for us because it means we've got a car park over the road still. We obviously don't make any money from it. It makes probably somewhere in the region, I don't know, probably about £15,000 I think it used to generate when it was operated by us, and we obviously had our visitors in there, and we charged less than they did. So, and I can talk about this because it's my business, so I can say what the hell I like. But yeah, so it did about 15k a year, basically, and it's been really busy since we reopened. It was obviously dead during lockdown. They bought it just before lockdown, dead during lockdown, and after lockdown, it is rammed. I mean, it's busy all the time. And it's busy with our customers. We fill it every single day, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a day, and then again in the evenings for the paranormals. So it is rammed. They are making thousands, tens of thousands of pounds from that car park because we have a visitor attraction next to it. And that's absolutely fine. That's how business works. You find a business model that makes sense and you work it, and that's how it works. If I wanted the car park, I could have bought it myself. If I could have afforded it at the time, I kind of felt it was more important to buy the prison rather than the car park. So I'm not bitter about that at all. What Lauren did today was something that I'd spoken to her about and said, hey, look, let's give these car park guys a call because they're making huge amounts of money from us. And we've got the options of using about 2 or 3 car parks locally to us. And we said, look, let's have a conversation with them and see if they would like to work some kind of deal where we will send all of our customers to park there and we'd ask for a small amount of money back in return kind of each month. And we were talking like 200 quid a month, basically, something like that. So a couple of grand a year, not a huge amount of money. Because we obviously send all of our customers there. So Lauren had a quick call with them. She was explaining this to the woman. The woman was getting really shirty with her from what I understand. And then basically she couldn't quite understand what Lauren was saying. Lauren explained it again and again and again. And then the woman basically she was like, well, let me speak to my colleague, took the phone away from her ear and turned around to her colleague and says, the people from the prison in Shrewsbury, they want us to pay them for the car park. Should I just tell them to fuck off? And Lauren was like, dude, I can hear you. Like, I can actually hear you. So that's what they did, and to be honest, from our perspective, we're like, well, do you know what? This is just business because we can send them to the NCP. I'm going to have a conversation with Network Rail. They own the big NCP next to us. It's the other road, but it's just the other side of the road. It's the same distance from us, pretty much. And I think Network Rail, who own the NCP, will probably be quite content to do the deal because let's look at it this way: COVID has struck. People are not going to offices anymore, so they're not parking like they used to. They're not getting the train anymore, so they're not parking like they used to. So these car parks are empty. We are still bringing loads of people into the jail who are parking and paying for parking. So you kind of would have thought that for them it's kind of a way of, it's almost like advertising. Without having to pay for the advertising, they just pay for us for the referrals. And people tend to, when they visit the jail, park where we say to them to park, because we obviously give them a postcode, we tell them where the best place to park on the tickets are and stuff like that. So I was actually, do you know what, if they just turned around and said, no, we're not going to do that, then I think I probably would be like, all right, no worries, well, it was worth a try. I thought I'd ask the question. But because they told Lauren to fuck off, and I hold all of my staff, all of my employees, our entire team are very close to me, and I'll protect every single one of them. But Lauren's been with us for a long, long time. I've known Lauren since she was 19. I've known Lauren for coming up 5 years now. No, over 5 years now. And I will absolutely, fight her corner to the end, as I will for a lot of my team. And I just don't accept that kind of stuff. There's no need for that kind of behaviour. So I think we're going to manoeuvre around the car park and sort of have a look and go, actually, maybe we'll take some parking on site when the production's finished, because now we've got the hoarding done and the gates are in. People can park on site. We've got loads of parking on site. And we can obviously use the NCP. So that's kind of how that unwound today. And that's not being difficult. That's just business. That, you know, you've got to look at it. So yeah, and we used to charge a lot less for the car park. So let me just pick up some comments quickly that come in. Saints booked for next year. Yeah, Chris, unfortunately sleepovers now fully booked. Well, we're done for this year. The first couple are booked for next year. So I think you're now looking at May for next year, which is great that they're busy. Prime Minister next range. Evening, Kirsty. Haven't seen you for a while. I don't think you were here last week. I can't remember. I generally see people sort of popping up and down. Diane, yeah, 550. It's 550 flat out all day basically. But yeah, I think we used to charge 450, and people weren't always happy about that. But we may well do some parking on site. We'll have a look and see. Yeah, Glenn, I absolutely agree. It's a no-brainer. We both win. We send our customers to them, so we've got parking that we don't have to manage. They get people parking in their car park that they don't have to do any work for. They just turn up. But the thing is, I actually think they believe that people park there of their own volition. It's not due to us. So they're going to see this over the next 7 weeks, 8 weeks, because we're shut with the production. All the production are parked inside. We have got so many vans and vehicles inside. It's unbelievable. Huge big trailers and trucks and catering vans and all sorts of stuff. And then we've got cranes in there. We've got massive 18-tonner, huge things. And all the cars, loads and loads of stuff. So, we have to do. But yeah, the pandemic, one thing is it changes the way that businesses have to work. And sometimes have to work closer, sometimes have to work further apart. So, Rachel, I think it's a little bit early to start the calls for Joel for Prime Minister just at this stage. I think we're probably about 14 years too early. If you missed it last week, guys, I put it into the public domain, and I kind of did it quite, I'm not going to say flippantly, I kind of did it quite casually as I do. I sort of drop these things in, but this has been something that I've been thinking about for probably 3 or 4 years. And I think if we ask Chrissy, who obviously I spend a lot of time with, or Emma, and maybe even Lauren and Harriet and stuff, and a few others, but certainly Chrissy will be, she's been there with me since the beginning of this, is that I've been saying for a while that I'd make a great Prime Minister. I think I kind of then built towards I'd make a great Prime Minister. I kind of figured out how I would get there and stuff. And yeah, so I dropped last week that for the next 10 years, really until I'm 48, so it's kind of 11 years, I'm going to build my businesses up to 100 million. That's the target goal, 100 million a year in turnover. So get them to that, at which point I'm going to step away completely. I'm going to just completely step away from the businesses and the day-to-day operations and all the running of them effectively. And I'm going to concentrate from the age of 48 probably to about 51, 52, so sort of the next 3 or 4 years in building a campaign to run for Prime Minister with the aim to run at the age of 51, 52. And then basically get elected, do 2 terms, because I think you should do 2 terms, so 8 years. That'll take me nicely cruising to about 59, 60. By this point, my kids will have grown up, so it's easy going in that. It's all going to fit. And I think, that'll work very well. I'll happily live in London for sort of 8 years once we do that. And then, change the way the country operates quite heavily, improve it quite drastically, and then, step away at 60 and let somebody else take the reins and move on to the next journey. I haven't really planned beyond that. Oh, Jesus. It's all right, it's a fly. It's all right. Something flew in front of me. I thought it was a spider. It's just a fly. So that's the plan. And I kind of threw that out last week. I said, hey guys, this is what I'm going to do over my 10, 15 year plan. And it's a big thing, I think, to tell people what you want to do in life, and especially when you want to do things that are so kind of out there. I mean, imagine being someone, I've got a friend who I grew up with, and his entire life he said he wanted to be an astronaut. That was all he wanted to do, was be an astronaut, to the extent that he wouldn't get piercings or tattoos, and he was really careful about getting scars and stuff like that, because apparently astronauts can't have tattoos or piercings or too many body scars, because if they do, so I'm told, if they do meet extraterrestrial life, they have to be as natural as they possibly can be. So he was dedicated to this, and he now lives in Canada, and he's a space scientist specializing in physics, or physicist specializing in space science, and very, very clever chap. Probably will never get to go to space, but never say never, but dedicated himself to that. And I think, when we were kids, it was always like, I want to be an astronaut. I'm like, come on, man, like everyone wants to be an astronaut, but seriously, how realistic is it? I got another friend who wanted to start a university. So I've met a lot of people that have massive aspirations, and others that quite content working in the local yogurt factory. So it's a big thing, I think, when anybody throws out there their dreams, their goals, their passions, their vision, what they want to do. I certainly know when I took over a prison, people just were like, what the fuck? But hey, look how that's turned out. So I kind of think, why not? I mean, if Donald Trump can do it, like, do you know what I'm saying? Just like, I think the opportunity is there for anybody. And I can see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson running for American president in a few years too. So I've not quite got his numbers. I think he's just cruised past 200 million. So not quite there. Anyway, right, so I missed some of his comments. Get the posters printed. Yeah, Morris, I totally agree. They probably will blame me for their drop in profit. Laurie, yeah, but you look a lot younger than I do, Laurie. That's the thing. We might be the same age, but you definitely look a lot younger than me. So you'll be doing far better than I am. Oh, Laura, I love that. That should be my slogan. Someone who owns a prison and wants to run for Prime Minister. What more could we ask for? Lock them up and throw away the key. If only had a castle, eh? Did anybody see my cheeky little Facebook and Instagram this week about castles? So I'm just reading the comments. That's why I've gone quiet. What did you want to do when you were a kid? Once you know I've been mistaken for an alien, I love the dream. Oh my God, The Rock would be great. The Rock would be a great president. He absolutely would be. What did I want to be when I was a kid? I wanted to own my own business. I think I picked this up. I wrote a chapter in my book, actually. There's a chapter over here somewhere, and it's on my computer. But I always wanted to run my own business for as young as I can remember, 6, maybe 7, so the same age as my little boy now. That's what I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted to run my own business. No idea what I wanted to do, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. And there was a garage that we used to drive past on our way to. I think where we were going to, but it used to be on a regular trip we used to do when I was a kid. My mum used to take us on. There was a garage. I think I've told you this story on a crossroads. It was kind of like something out of an American horror movie. This is like kind of really beaten up garage by itself with a little cafe by the side, where it says CA and the F's missing and an E. It just looks like the sort of place you pull up into the car park and you're going to get murdered by some kind of axe murderer. We used to drive past that. I was like, one day I'm going to own that. And I've no idea why. That's kind of that just stuck with me very much. So yeah, that's it. I always wanted to run my own businesses, and that's why now I'm so, I guess, happy with the way that the way things are in terms of the way we do things, and the way that I've structured my life has been to be enjoyed. I've not structured it to do anything other than enjoy it. And the more that I do that, and the more I think like that, the more it gets like that. And it's a really powerful thing. How people sort of say that if you believe it, it will happen. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. And for me, it's kind of, it is that. And the more, it's taking a lot of time. There is a lot of stress in it. So it's not easy. It makes it sound very easy, but it's not. It's really fucking hard. I've got the grey hairs to prove it. I've got the lack of hair to prove it. I've got the wrinkles to prove it. There's a few marks on the walls of the prison to prove it. The dents, the scars, and stuff like that. But I do think that the more you kind of believe in something, you work towards it. It does happen because you work towards it. And certainly, I think that I've built a life that I'm very happy with and content with. And I've got goals I want to achieve and still things I want to do. And I just try and position everything so it doesn't add stress. That's what I'm trying to do, is not add stress. And I think if you can get that at a young age, then that's a smart move. And I'm still pretty young, I think, so that's all good. Am I writing a book? I'm trying. I've been trying to write a book for 2 years. And I'm trying to, and the trouble is, where I got stuck, Laura, is I'm trying to write this bloody monstrous fucking autobiography and trying to kind of encapsulate the last 37 years, and it's just going completely wrong. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to write out the last, like, kind of 4 or 5 years. I think I'm going to take it from when I put the bid in to buy the prison to kind of now. I might take it back to 2011 to when I started my first business and just do my business period for the last sort of 9-10 years, and just try and condense it into a much shorter book for just the last sort of decade, and do that, because I think that's a nice story. And then what I'm planning on doing is when we go back to beyond production world, I think I might do it later, I might do it next year, but what I'd like to do is keep a diary for a year and write my diary every single day, just things that have happened that day, just half a page or a page every single day, and then basically do that for a year and then publish that into about a 365 page book. And I think that will be quite cool. So that's something I'm going to probably look at next year, or whenever I start doing it. And then maybe further down the line, maybe, I don't know, the end of 60 years, I'll write the memoirs or whatever it is. But yeah, just try and take on too much at the moment. So that's what I'm trying to just whittle down the book. I do write children's stories, which might surprise some of you. Which is a really interesting story. But do you know what? Let's pick that up next week. So if somebody wants to remember about children's stories and me telling what my kids call head stories, if you remind me next week when we do this about head stories, I'll tell you all about that, and what that entails and what I'm trying to do with that, because that's something I'm quite passionate about and quite I wouldn't say excited, but I'd really like to get my teeth into. But again, it's a time thing. So I'm just going to whip through these comments. I think with that, Graham absolutely needs to write a fucking book, without a doubt. Maybe I should pay him to write a book and then take a percentage of it. There's the businessman in me. I can't turn that piece off. Should pay Graham to write a book because it's amazing. It'd be great for everybody. But then I should take a percentage of it to pay him to write it in the first place. Oh, it was so difficult turning off that businessman, and that's why I know that when I get to the goal I want to get to in business, I can park that. I can say I've done that, and I don't need to do that anymore. I've hit and achieved what I want to achieve, and now I can be a prime minister without being pulled over here, or dictated to, or pressured, or anything like that. So, let's have a quick look. Right. People talking about lives from East Station, Lauren. Yeah, we need to get those going again. It's just time. Don't forget to mention your Thursday night therapy sessions. Oh, they'll be in there, Keely. Don't you worry. Okay, cool. Right, I think that's there, guys. Right, I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna get myself another rum. I'm actually going to go sit down probably for another hour and a half, watch some TV, float around on the internet, check out some bits and pieces online, which is what I like to do, see what's happening with the world, and then I'm back in tomorrow. I think I'm in at 7. I think I'm going to go in early. So yeah, so that's it, and I've got tomorrow all the way until the Paranormals are in, and then I'll be in on Saturday as well because it's prison break and a few other bits and pieces. So yeah, that's it. Matthew, ping me a message, Matthew. Probably on Facebook's the best place, and we can go from there. So yeah, just drop me a DM, or just ping me a message, and we'll go from there. It's probably the best thing. So I think that's it. Right, guys. Thank you very much once again. I will catch up with you next week, and obviously in the meantime, do take care and ping us any messages or comments or anything you want to chat about, and we will obviously pick that up. So till next week, guys. We'll enjoy rubbing shoulders with the stars. Although I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed anywhere near them because of COVID, but more on that next week.